How you doing, folks? Welcome back to the channel. So today I'm actually in Dublin and I'm in the National Museum at Collins Barracks, and this is a military museum. And Collins Barracks was constructed in 1702 and it was decommissioned by the Irish Army in 1997. The last soldiers left here in 97, and then it was handed over to the National Museum to be turned into a military museum. Now this part that I'm in here, I'll just show you quickly. There. And if you're ever wondering where the National Museum is, if you've all heard of Guinness, there's Guinness is across the road, so it's directly across the road from the brewery. Just the reason I'm coming around just this part of the barracks is a long time ago, when I was a much younger man. I was in the Reserve Defence Forces and we were stationed here in Collins Barracks. I just want to see if the old barracks building that I was in still exists now. Yeah, possibly. Just a second here, we'll have a quick look. Let's see. And actually it does now. The buildings have been changed. Now where we were stationed would have been along these row of buildings here. There was a stairway that would have led up, but it's all been converted along the front now. It's completely different to what it used to be. And the square that you see here was the home of one of the cavalry regiments, so all their armoured vehicles normally would have been parked here. So we'll walk back around. We'll go around to the main part of the museum and we'll have a look at some of the exhibits. So as I was saying, it was built in 1702, the barracks, and it was decommissioned in 1997. Now Collins Barracks is the oldest military barracks in the world that held soldiers, so it holds the world record for being the oldest. And as I was saying, it was then eventually decommissioned, handed back to the state, and obviously this part here hasn't been converted, but further down on the main square where the clock tower is, it was converted into a museum. So we'll walk that far and we'll see what some of the exhibits are. And just as a side note, the building that you see there in front, that used to be the armory for the barracks. So that's where all the personal weapons were kept. And this again is another one of the main squares. And the building you see there in front with all those windows, that used to be the mess hall. So that's where we used to get fed all them years ago. And if I remember correctly, the food wasn't too bad in this place. It was fairly okay. We never starved anyway. So it still looks in relatively good condition considering its age. And just where you see the ramp coming down, and that wasn't always a ramp. That used to be a set of steps, and every now and again the cavalry guys would have to run their vehicles. Now this is the armoured vehicles, and they'd actually run them around the perimeter of the barracks. And one night, a friend of mine, we were invited to come for a spin in one of the armoured cars. So one guy was driving, we were in the back. So he decided, as he came down the hill there where the steps were, he came down the steps and we were in the back, and we got bounced around, and yeah, that was fun. Fun times, happy memories. And just the building there in the distance, you can see the quite large grey building. That's Houston Station, and it's a railway station. It's named after Sean Houston, who was one of the leaders of 1916. He was executed along with the with the rest of the leaders. So that's Houston Station, and named after himself. So make our way over here, make our way into the museum, and we'll have a look around. And as I say, there's the clock tower up there. So folks, this is the main square in the barracks, and the buildings here is where all the soldiers would have initially slept. So these were all the dormitories in the barracks. And as you can see, you see the numbers on the walls. So anytime there was a parade, they could exactly pace out the distance that the soldiers should be apart. So that's why those figures are on the wall there. So it hasn't changed a whole lot. Still looks exactly as it did when I marched around the square all those years ago. And there's something I didn't know, that Napoleon created an Irish Legion. Oh, there's their flag. Yeah, who would have known that? There we have again the Irish fighting in other wars. It's the American Civil War. And there were many Irish on both sides during the American Civil War. And there we are, various weapons of today. It's a 7-barrel volley gun. We have a lot of stuff here from the Force War, which is 1914, and various uniforms, rifles, equipment. And then we have what I believe is a 24-pounder field gun. And there you go, there's even a German Irish regiment in World War I. See the Irish we go around. And actually there's the plaque from the ship, the Helga. The Helga landed guns in Ireland for the rebels. So they have weapons for 1916 for the uprising. Again, more uniforms and weapons from Force War.
Questa invece è la Vickers. Sapete, è usata di telefono. Ah sì, telefono da campo. Si trovano con la cittadina.
Uniform worn by the weapons. And these are some of the weapons that were used during the Civil War and during the Rising as well. this is his coat. So he was actually wearing this when he was shot. So a nice piece of history there. And these are uniforms from the Spanish Civil War, so the Irish actually fought on both sides in the Civil War in Spain. Okay, very nice. And it's a British Bren gun carrier, which the Irish Army acquired during the Second World War. And then we have an anti-aircraft gun from World War II. A lot of these were positioned around what would have been Dublin Airport back during the Second World War. This very, very interesting engine is from a B-17. It's from the engine from a B-17 that crashed in County Sligo. Apparently the crew had flown into fog and flown into, I believe it was Ben Bulben, which is probably one of the tallest mountains in Sligo. And 3 out of the 10 crew were killed in the crash. Now, the strange thing was, a couple of days later, a second B-17 crashed in the same place, but luckily enough, none of that crew lost their lives. So, were they just flying low over Ireland, or were they refueling in Ireland? That's the question. And these were Irish, basically, bomb shelters during the Second World War. And there we have old equipment used by the Irish Army Rangers, which are the Irish Special Forces, similar to the SAS. And just on the ground there we have an FN. Now, when I was in the FCA we used these. They're absolutely fantastic weapon. There we have an officer's uniform from the FCA, which would have been the Reserve Defence Forces. And then we have some quite early stuff from when the Irish were fulfilling their peacekeeping duties in Lebanon, and they can still continue to do that to this day. And some of the quite early armoured personnel carriers that they did use then, they have more modern vehicles now. Okay folks, so that's a brief glimpse of Collins Barracks. I just want to show you something here quickly. You see the markers in the grass in the park there? That's called the Croppy Acre, and an awful lot of the volunteers, those there were some members of the volunteers executed here in Collins Barracks. And also then during the 1798 rebellion, an awful lot of volunteers too were executed here, and their bodies were actually dumped into the River Liffey just in front of us there, just in front of Guinness. This is the River Liffey, and a lot of those bodies were dumped in there. So, and in the background you can hear it's the clock tower. So I have a train to catch at 4:30, so I have to go. So don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, and I'll see you all on the next video.